Wow, that was an interesting transition. Usually there's like a little bit of a fade out. That was just like a cut and let's go.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
Let's just get into it. How are you guys doing? Hope you all are having a wonderful Wednesday, wonderful week. Hopefully you're wrapping up the workday here and it was a smooth one for you. Welcome to Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk Gundam, Gunpla, and gaming. I am Steven, aka your host, Midnight Hatter. Did I say that wrong? Yeah. Joining me as always is the Blue Gamer, Gundam Explainer, Adam Blue. How are you, my friend?
No, doing good. I like these topics you have on board. I feel like I need to vent about some things like the trading card game, and I'm glad you have the Zeta meta build up or prepared for this because I don't know if that is related, but I feel like there's something related to that.
Yeah,
So
there's probably some tie-in. Yeah, and I have to say your camera is looking fantastic. I actually swapped out my camera this morning because I couldn't stand, for some reason, the other camera I was using was making me look pink for something. Let me see if I can just oh,
well, there's
let's
that,
pop
and
that on. Oh,
I
okay, here we go.
I
Look at
have
that.
this light here that it has, like, warm and cold, like, I've learned that kinda helps sometimes because 'cause I'll look weird or
Right,
yeah.
yeah, the goal is to not look like Gary Oldman in, Dracula.
Great movie, great reference because of the time of year.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
We are officially well into spooky season, and I'm excited for it, I are you a big Halloween guy? I mean, I know you were Alucard last year for
yep.
Halloween, so
No, I am, and it's just, I guess, as a kid, we my parents always did the Halloween stuff, they would even have Halloween parties, like, at the house. I've always liked dressing up, yeah, Alucard last year, Luke Skywalker the year before, this year Batman. It's like now I have that dad income where I can, like, make my costumes look pretty cool.
yeah, I ran out of time last year to do what I wanted to do, which was I wanted to build myself a power loader costume
Oh,
where I would wear like a baby Bjorn and my daughter was gonna be Ripley and I would be the power loader with her inside it.
dude.
So I might have to do that next year. I don't know. Well, she might be too big, but we'll see if there's somebody else that can ride shotgun on that. Because that's been like a dream of mine since becoming a dad is being the power loader.
That is a great idea. I mean, he could just be a Gundam too.
Yeah, yeah. At that point, might as well,
Ina,
right?
Ina from Oh Wait, That Mess Team, at the end, she was cosplaying as a Gundam.
Well, she wasn't cosplaying. Maybe she's a method actor. We'll put it that she had to commit to the bit.
That's
No,
good.
so I mean, like I said, it's a great time of year. I love not just Halloween, but just the holidays in general. And you and I
Me too.
talked about this probably a couple weeks ago. Is just in general, I'm a big fall guy. Like I love fall. And as you get older, I think you appreciate it more because you're not in school, and you're like all
Right.
year sucks because you have to work all year, and you don't just get like the summers off. So
No,
yeah,
that's true. And it's funny you say that because, like, this morning going outside was the first time that it was like, "Okay, we need to get a jacket and sweats on." Like, the kids went to school with a sweater. It was the first day that it
yeah,
was like that, and, I
same
like
here,
it.
man.
I like
Yeah,
it. Hoodie
it is.
season, as
It's
the Onyx
good.
Shadow
It's good.
says.
And I'm also very excited because I did just line up some guests, not for next week's show, but I think it's for the following week's show that is going to be it's going to be a huge party basically for the stream on Halloween because
Ooh.
this year my show is going to be that Wednesday the 30th, the day before Halloween, and yours is on Halloween.
Oh,
And I
wow.
remember, so last year you actually did stream on Halloween as well. You were playing through RoboCop. Um,
Exactly, and I had a trick or treater cam,
yeah,
but, like, not many people came. I was dressed as Alucard. So, are you gonna dress up on the Wednesday?
I think we have to, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to come up with something. Man, I might have to shave. We'll see what I can
Oh,
come up with.
and then
But
so
yeah,
for
no, that
mine then, we might have to do we'll try to play by ear to do an earlier show or something,
yeah, yeah,
'cause yeah.
definitely. We'll come up with something. I'm excited for Halloween stream
Yeah,
shenanigans.
yeah.
But yeah, I won't bury the lead much further. I'm sure that all of you guys in chat, shout out to the chat, by the way. We've got Zeonic Shadow in the house. I was actually wearing my Zeonic Shadow t-shirt earlier, but I was doing some work around the house and got all sweaty, so I decided to shower and get out of that shirt. But
Good working shirt.
Macrosser, Magus Snyder, Jamcal X, Ultronomus, good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for stopping by. Like I said, most of you guys probably already know that not only did I miss out on the Gundam card game re-release, pre-order, beta, however, how many words can you pack into that word
Yeah.
salad?
I don't
The
know.
Gundam card game beta, pre-release, pre-order, whatever it was on P Bandai. Not only did I miss out on it, but Adam missed out on it as well.
Well, I was about to say, not only did we, but every human.
Yeah.
If you weren't a bot.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, Claude AI and ChatGPT are gonna be playing a lot of card games together. It's gonna
Yes,
be a lot of fun.
I was looking at the Twitter replies to when they posted the link to get it, and everyone's saying, "I didn't get it. It's impossible. I didn't get what the heck, blah, blah, blah." I
Yeah.
was there right at the time, and, I was at a restaurant. It was my oldest's birthday, and it's,
Oh,
like, right
happy
when it
birthday.
hit, and then I go, "Bam," and then what it did was, you were telling me that you hit it, and then it took you to where it said you have to have positive items in the cart.
Yeah.
I've heard other people say they'd click it and it went, "Sorry, out of yeah, and that was with mine too, when it just went, "Sorry, out of stock." So it was almost like you were I think you were closer than
Dude,
most.
it was 8:59 and I was debating whether I should refresh the page yet or not. And it was 8:59, so I hit refresh and I saw the button come up, right? I click it and a little pop-up came up and said, "Hey, you need to add a positive number in order to add this to your cart." I was like, "All right." Clicked OK, refreshed the page again, sold out. And so this was so again, that was 8:59, and then I took the screenshot, which I think I posted it on Discord, and it's like, if you look at the file name, it is like screenshot 9 o'clock and 27 seconds. So and
Wow.
that's the amount of time that it took me to take the screenshot and then upload it to Discord. So in less than 27 seconds, this sold out. That has to be botted to hell.
Yeah, yeah, which okay, so do we wanna get into that?
Yeah,
Because
so yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because so was having a conversation on Discord. Ultronomus asked a really good question, which I think I can offer some insight on for people, especially like you said on Twitter. There's a lot of people expressing frustration with Bandai over how it's being handled. Understandably, like I'm frustrated too. But if we rewind a little bit and we talk about like what even is a pre-order, right? Let like Bandai's pre-orders don't work the same way that Kickstarters do, and there's one singular difference that sets them apart, because Ultronomus brought up, uh, on Discord, "Well, why don't they just open up the pre-orders and however much they get, that's what they produce and that's what they ship out?" Because
right,
that's how it works on Kickstarter,
and
right?
that's how I
It's
was
like,
thinking.
yeah, you collect as much money from as many people as you possibly can, and then it's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, once the campaign's over, we'll deliver everything." So here's the thing about that is that Kickstarter doesn't have guaranteed delivery dates. And so if you give your money to a Kickstarter, I should say,
Oh, sure.
it's like you're just going to get it when you get it. Like, yes, we might have it launched by March of 2025. It might be November of 2025. And I would love to see the percentage of Kickstarters that actually deliver on time, which
Okay, I think this is our biggest quote, but glad you brought that up. I just did a Kickstarter today for the EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly Compendium, where it's like
okay,
yeah, and so I did one of the tiers, and I remember when I was checking out, you have to do a checkbox that says, "Does not guarantee all extra items the way" so it's
there you
almost
go.
like that is a fundamental part of this sort of guessing game of how much do we make of this stuff, and
Exactly.
yeah, so and so then that goes back to you saying they have the date of February.
Yeah, it's a hard ship date. They have to ship it by February,
So they're
and
almost
so
making them right now.
yeah,
Uh, they are, like
they have to be,
yeah,
especially if there's any part of it that's being printed or manufactured in China. You have to remember Chinese New Year is January 27th, I wanna say, something around there, and so all of the factories, everything in China is gonna shut down basically for the second half of January through the first half of February. So you're not gonna be able to get any production done, and that's
interesting.
just from my experience, like, working in different manufacturing industries, that get a lot of their products from overseas, and so yeah, what the problem that you're running into is that P Bandai, the way that their pre-order model works is they have, I don't wanna say a fixed number, but they do have a maximum number of pre-orders that they can accept within each rollout of a product. And so, it's like, if they get 100,000 orders on a single product, there's no way that they could produce that by the delivery date that they've promised. And
Okay, and
that's
that
why they
brings up
do the
another
multiple rollouts, right? So, it's like with the GM Spartan, how many times did they
right. So that okay, that brings up another good point because each time they've had the pre-order up, it always says ends October 27th. So it almost seems like the idea was, okay, we sold this out. Okay, with until the 27th, can we allocate another set to manufacture? Okay, so let's then put up that pre-order and then the next one, which which there's the frustration that we're not getting it because or frustration that we didn't get the pre-order because it's like, oh,
Yes.
I want to make sure I get this. I want to play this. But I feel like no matter what, when February hits, they're gonna have even more for people after the Chinese New Year that you were talking about. Like,
Yeah, that's the other thing to remember is that oftentimes when it comes to, like, any kind of pre-ordered merchandise, they usually, recommend over ordering and overproducing by, like, 10-15%, just to account for things like lost in shipping or
mhm,
damaged product when it arrives, things like that. You're always gonna have those issues as a retailer, like, so you have to basically overproduce in order to cover your potential losses. So to your point, I do think that it's going to be widely available once February rolls around.
and did
It's
any I don't think I could be wrong, but did any part of it say it was exclusive? Like
so there
anything
are some exclusive, I think, like, I think there's one particular card that's associated with the beta. Well,
oh,
actually, you know what?
no, I'm joking.
Let's
Yeah, let's check.
go to the page. Why are
'Cause
we
I
even
hate it
look?
when there's something exclusive and I miss it. And
Yes,
then I buy it
I
on
do
eBay
get that
later for
from
100 and I'm like, "Yeah."
and you know what? What I will say is, it's like when it comes to the mass release version versus this beta version
Mhm.
that's available for pre-order, I hope that the final version that becomes available is the still like the minimalist box, you
Yes,
know? I am not a big fan of like, the overly flashy packaging, so
exactly.
but yeah, let's hop into this. Here we have the pre-order page. Man, if this button was pink, I was gonna be like, "Yes! Yes!
I
Get
know.
4 of them." But no.
Yeah,
So I
October
do
28th
believe yeah,
is
October 28th is when this pre-order round closes. I do think that there was yeah, beta edition exclusive booster packs. And then there was
but go back
a
up real
leg
quick. It
oh, yeah?
said, yeah, to that okay, you get so does that mean 51 exclusive cards? Or
So, this is what's interesting about it, is I think that it comes with 1, like, starter pack, and then it comes with 16 booster packs. So, it doesn't include all 51 cards that come with the set. It
oh, I see.
includes 16 packs of 9 cards from the 51 cards that are in the initial launch set.
And
Um,
then what of that was exclusive again?
apparently it's there some cards can be found in an alternate art version that is exclusive to the edition beta.
Okay. Okay, so that's like a skin, essentially, and not necessarily the function.
You know what? That this goes back to the conversation you and I were having about, like, microtransactions and, like, well, if it's just a skin, it's
Yeah.
not like you're missing out on it. Um,
I'm
because
into
I
the
think I
art,
brought that up with,
but
like, the Transformers game.
yeah, yeah. But I think that makes me feel a little better about if I don't happen to get the exclusives. At least I'm not missing out on a cool
I mean,
use
there
card.
are some things, and I'm gonna take it back to that Dragon Ball Z card game because I just stumbled upon this. This is actually one of my little brother's cards. Here, I'll go back to a full screen view so you guys can see this. This is, Turles from the Dragon Ball Z movie Tree of Might. This was one of, like, the exclusive cards that you could only get from, I think it was, like, part of a Burger King promotion or something like that.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Um, but what's interesting about it is that there was no other version of this personality card, like, this was it. Like, you could not get Turles at
Interesting.
all if you didn't
And
get
it
this
was
set.
Burger King. That's amazing.
Yeah, man, I tell you, Burger King dropped off for some reason in the mid-2010s,
They
but,
had the
like, back
360
in the day, they
games.
had the best promos.
Yeah, the
Um,
did you ever play, like, Sneak King on, like, the 360 games that they had?
no, I
Yeah,
didn't.
they had Xbox 360 games that you could get, and they were actually pretty decent, and it was funny they did. Oh, Ultronus is saying 3 legend cards,
Oh,
apparently.
yes. So I think that so let me see, oh, of course, I didn't even get my, chat pop-up set up correctly. Typical Hatter,
Oh, and
blowing it.
remind me, I need to ask you about that later because 'cause I'm now doing the Restream thing with OBS.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and so, I mean, clearly, it's pretty easy to set up. Let me make sure that
Cool.
it'll
I was able to do
come.
the whole chat box, but not just like a featured chat.
Yeah, let's see. Um, I don't know if I have to go into my other view in order to get it to pop up.
But yeah, while you're doing that, just like for instance, they're showing, this RX-78-2 card. Like, to be honest, if there was an alternate artwork of a card like the RX-78-2 or something about Amuro, I would if I don't get it through this, I would probably go on eBay and look for it. Although it would probably be more practical to just buy the whole set
So
than
and
on the
that's
beta.
I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of frustrating about the beta too, is that, so to Ultronomus's point, there are 3 legend cards, right? But you only get 1 of the 3 types.
Oh,
So you
wow.
get 1 of 3 possible legend rare cards, which means that, like, if you wanted all 3, either you would have to probably buy, like, 6 copies of the game just to ensure that you were gonna get them, or you're gonna have to go to eBay anyway, so.
So you know what then? I take back what I said about Bandai. I think that is the issue that they should not have done.
Yeah,
Because then I guess I missed this the whole time. If there's gonna be random things that you could possibly get in 6, like as you said, potentially, then people are
yeah.
gonna be using maybe different accounts to then try to that's an
That
issue.
could explain a lot of the botting activity, is that it's not even necessarily that people are getting in just to get the game, it's that they are trying to get all of the so first of all, they wanna get all 51 cards, because even with the 16 packs, what's 16 times 9? Oof, my math isn't great, but,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
pretty sure that it's not 100% guaranteed that you would get all 51 cards. Well, so 16 times 9 is 144 cards. So there's 144 cards in addition to, like, whatever the starter pack set comes with. So theoretically, you could get all 51. I guess you probably have like a 1 in 3 chance.
so I'm
But
confused. Oh, because a bunch of cards might be energy cards or something.
right, you might get
Yeah.
copies of different mobile suits and things like that. So it's not even like
Oh, it's not like an exclusive set of here's everything. It's more like here's just a booster pack or a giant mixed bag. Yeah,
exactly.
even worse.
So that's part of the issue, I think, to your point, is like, if you're gonna have something like this where it's a limited edition, but also randomized, that invites abuse, right?
Yeah, and I know for the Steam Deck, Valve did it where you had to have a Steam account, and you'd had to have played for a certain amount of days and some other things. I really do think it benefits maybe Bandai to be like, you have to have had a premium Bandai account for a year. But then once that gets dried up and they know they have more, they're like, okay, now we'll do the wider release for people that have never had. I think that would be a fair way to go about it.
Yeah, and it's always gonna be tough with promotions like this. I remember when the, first Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie came out, you got 1 of 4 cards, like, when you bought your ticket, you would get 1 of 4 cards at random, and,
Wow.
everyone really wanted this, is, like, Sorcerer of Dark Magic card. There was, like, 1 card that was kinda useless, it was kind of like a Karibo card, it was, like, it was, like, one of those little cute little fluff tokens that basically is like a joke card. It wasn't actually gonna win you a game, but that Sorcerer of Dark Magic, my little brother ended up getting it with his ticket, and I traded him for it, which completely made my Dark Magician deck, like, absurd.
That's fun. Like, to like a movie and then go to see the movie and you get something out of it, like, that's my like, lately, I've been going to movies and buying the popcorn buckets associated with the movie
Yeah.
because it's just a fun part of the experience.
Speaking of which, tell us where you're going tonight.
Oh, yeah, seeing Mobile Suit Gundam 2. So I'll probably
See?
get a Terrifier popcorn, but no, I don't know.
So, I mean, that's another one of those things that's kind of like a missed opportunity is
Oh,
I think
Gundam popcorn
there's
bucket.
a really good Jake Parker YouTube video, and you guys know how much I love Jake Parker,
Yeah,
not only, like, as an artist, but also, like, as a content creator and, like, just about building relationships with your audience and things like that. And he talks a lot about making physical products. He's like, being an artist in the 2020s, it's so easy to just crank out prints and, like, you know, all this, like, digital asset type stuff and just like, "Oh, I'm gonna post it on Instagram," whatever. But, like, what people remember are the tokens and the things that they get to take home with them, like a book, He's like, and that's why he's so committed to doing these Kickstarters where it's like, "This is a book of my drawings," and every book not only comes with, like, illustrations, but also has, like, a mini comic attached to it, and, like, so each of these books that he puts out is like an artifact. And so to your point, you know, when the Gundam Seed Freedom movie dropped and it's like the 10th anniversary of Gundam Seed, they did do that like limited release, which we were talking about and we kind of were
yeah,
critical of because it was like, well, you're only going to do New York and LA. And they
yeah.
did have like the panels associated with it, where you got to meet some of the voice actors and hear them speak before the showing. But, it's like you said, where are the popcorn buckets? Well,
Yeah.
at the Gundam base, I guess they were giving out the little paper V-fins, but, like, even
Oh,
then, that's not that's something that, like, I've held on to, obviously,
yeah.
because I'm a Gundam fan, but, like, I don't know, I think that there's something to be said about, like, something that has some utility to it, right? Like, something that you're gonna keep on your desk forever,
Yeah.
you know, something like little Zeta head, like, would it really be a game breaker to, like, to have a bunch of these and when you sell out of tickets to the Gundam Seed Freedom movie, like, maybe shoot, you can do them randomized and say, like, you've got your Immortal Justice, you've got your Rising Freedom, and you've got
Oh,
the Infinite Justice Type 2 head, and it's like, "Oh, it's a random grab bag," like, when you buy your ticket, you might get one of the 3 gachapons.
that
Those are the things that I think really make an experience for people and really get people to connect with these things.
yeah,
I don't know,
because
what are your thoughts?
yeah, that's a really good point. So like when I've been going to the movies a lot lately because I've realized to go back in the theaters, make it like a family thing, so we all just go all the time. And
I
yeah,
love that.
I have the Mario popcorn bucket from when that came out. I got the Ninja Turtles one, and then that was just for then. But then I've been going, and if it's not a movie with a popcorn bucket, I'll just get whatever they have. And they had like two special edition Batman popcorn buckets. But and then it
Excellent.
reminded me of when I saw Blade in the theater, they had the little mini poster, and I
Yeah.
had that up in my wall until I moved out of my parents' house. And then, but even what you're bringing up with like the little Gundam head, like it would be cool if it's something as simple as keychains. That
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of thing. There's just like a keychain of a Haro, for all you went and saw Gundam 2, and on the back it would be like 2024 theater run, just
Or,
to
like, I keep this on my desk, from Zeonic
oh,
Shadow, the little Sinanju, pin from Tamashii Nations.
ah, I have the unicorn one. I think uh, crazy. I have my
Yeah.
same one, unicorn one I got.
See? Exactly. So yeah, again, shout out to Zeonic Shadow for
Actually,
hooking us up with those. And he knew that you would want the Federation one and that I would want the
I
Xeon one.
know. And actually, I'm glad you brought it up because I'm gonna wear it tonight. With my
Excellent.
seed denim jacket that Levi
Nice.
sent me. No, I'm not gonna wear that.
Oh, come on. Don't be
Actually,
a
yeah, I should actually because
You
it's gonna be
should,
cold.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, there's so many things that, like, I think that are worth criticizing about the release of the card game, but I guess I would advise people to be a little more patient with Bandai. I don't think that
Yeah.
the way that they handled it is completely out of, out of the ordinary for what typically happens around promo events like this. But yeah, it
Right.
does suck that, like,
Well,
bad actors are always gonna get to these things somehow,
yeah. And I have a good feeling that in February we're gonna be able to get, because I wanna bring this up. Crazy the Mind is asking, "Are you guys planning on collecting or playing?" Which is a really good question, because my first thing is to collect, just because I love
Yeah.
artwork. I love like I collected the Marvel cards when I was a kid, so I love having like artwork I can reference and look at. And
Oh, yeah.
but I like integrated functions. So I like the idea that it's also a game, because I remember even with toys when I was a kid, I remember thinking, shouldn't they have like numbers and then we can like make a game where, and that was
Yeah.
tabletop the whole time and I didn't know. But I think I love the idea of the collecting, and then I think for me playing comes second, but I like that aspect. I think that would be fun, especially how it has like the
Yeah.
two player or
Yeah,
the
like the
well,
four-player, like, team matches. So and that brings up a good point is that, you and I are actually going to play this game ahead of time. Like, you and I are gonna fire up some Tabletop Simulator here soon,
yep.
so stay tuned to the channel because we are going it'll we both ended up, getting the add-on for Tabletop
Yeah.
Simulator,
Just
so
trying to
speaking
figure
of
it out.
Steam. Yeah, we're
'Cause
just trying to figure it out because we don't want you to have to watch us learning how to
yeah,
play
I
Tabletop Simulator.
that's exactly what I thought when I was, like, playing around, and I sent you a picture where it was just, like, the back of the cards, like, spread around everywhere, because 'cause I'm like, "I don't know what to do." That
Yeah.
was funny.
And then Crazy Mind also brought up, like, if it's collecting, do you feel that this is just a money grab or will it go away after a year or so? And that's a good question, it's so hard to tell whether a game is gonna last or not, and I have backed so many tabletop game Kickstarters that even after they've been delivered and, like, I have the Dire Wild board game, and I absolutely adore it. It's got so much character, so much charm, the art direction is fantastic in it, but, like, there's no community built up around it, and, when it comes to whether or not something is gonna last, it really does depend on whether or not people rally around it and support it, and I think Gundam is a perfect example of that because that's what you saw with, like, Gun Evo, is,
Yeah,
it was not it was a competent product, right? Like, we
right,
we can agree that it was executed as well as any other hero shooter would be.
exactly.
However, Gundam fans weren't about it, and the streamer influencers that they tried to get to promote the game, they don't care about the Gundam IP. So there was never a community that was built up around it that was going to sustain it long term. Now that said, there are people that are, fighting to keep it alive and creating their own fan servers, and I totally support that because, you guys know that I'm all about, like, community driven and grassroots, um, works, I prefer that to something that's kind of, like, top down, like, "You guys will play this."
Yeah, that kinda reminds me, speaking about it this way, like Gundam Evolution, Hero Shooter, and Gundam, it's like those are 2 cool things. Did they really need to be together? And it's like, I don't know, if they made a Sesame Street tower defense, or Sesame Street, like, but a tower defense like the harder ones. What's, one I played recently? I forget. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's like, well,
little Plants vs. Zombies, but you play as Oscar the Grouch and you're trying to keep people out of your alley.
but hey, but not even Plants for Zombies, like, even what's that game? There's that roguelike strategy mech game that came out a couple years ago. I forget the name,
Hmm.
and you would die very fast, but it was so hard, but it was so fun. But, like, yeah, it's like, if they had a Sesame Street, it's like, well, okay, Sesame Street's kinda cool when I was a kid, yeah, nostalgia, whatever, but then this kinda like, I feel like that's kinda what they did. They just put things together just because it's like, "Oh, let's just slap it together," and it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
And that does seem like a lot of Gundam, partnerships, right? That's what you and I said about the F1.
yeah."
But you know what?
It's like,
Proven wrong, like, obviously, it's interesting that Ash, our mutual supporter, she's really big into
right.
F1,
So
so
that's what was interesting. So there was someone that was like, "Oh, yeah, it's cool," but it's like she wasn't able to then go buy something
which
related to
goes
that.
back to the
Yeah, it's like, what are they trying to do with it? It's did when we I don't know if you guys heard the news, but Bandai Games canceled a bunch of games, and in Japan, you can't lay off people, so they have people that have been moved to a division where they don't do anything to kind of coerce them to quit. So it's like, I guess it's not working, for
Yeah.
them, whatever they're doing. So yeah. Oh,
Well, I
and
mean,
Crazy
you
the
and I
Mind.
could probably do a whole, like, 6 hours about how to fix the games industry because there's so much, bloat and issues around video games where, to your point, I think that there's probably some value in the 2 CEO, approach that some companies are adopting.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's a very good point because even Hollywood's doing it, and I think Hollywood and video games are the same thing. It's like it was a niche, neat thing that people got into, and then executives all came in and then effed it all up, and now it's like, okay, now we do still need the executive, but we need the creative.
Well, because typically, these companies, and this goes for like software as well. When you think about like when Steve Jobs passed away or Bill Gates leaving Microsoft, it's like the people that built up these companies, they were not CEOs. They were tech guys. They were
Yeah,
people that were actually in the weeds doing the work. And so they built up these companies based around that vision. And what happens is when the company gets so big that they bring in a CEO that's like, "Oh, well, this guy's run companies before. He must know how to run this company." It's like, that's not exactly how it works.
yeah, it's so crazy because it's like, so EA was seeing success with Apex Legends, but and Titanfall, and then the Star Wars, but it's they had Vince Zampella of Respawn. That guy started making first person shooters and Call of Duty. So and that was the interesting thing about Halo and 343 Industries when they talked about, the people departing. It's like, okay, there's not really a creative visionary lead here anymore.
Exactly.
And then so the same thing happened with CD Project Red. That's something recently I read about where most of the team and here's the funny thing, because Halo just announced that they're going to be moving to the Unreal Engine 5. CD Project Red did that about a year ago, but it was the
Yeah.
same time that all the people were leaving because it's easier just to, "Oh, does anyone know how to do Unreal Engine?" Because
That's
all the
exactly
creative
what's
leads are
going
gone.
on. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so much turnover in the game industry right now, and everyone is looking for people that do Unreal because I don't know, there's still that stigma about Unity, but I think it's perfectly serviceable.
yeah.
For some reason, Unreal seems to attract, or seems to be more attractive to AAA publishers. I mean, that's what Netflix was looking for, and what YouTube was
Yeah.
looking for when I saw the job listings on LinkedIn about like, oh, Netflix is hiring game developers. They want Unreal developers
Okay.
because nobody has any experience in like real programming.
Right.
I,
It's
I,
more
I
of
I'm being facetious,
no,
but
no, but what you're bringing up is a good point. I feel like if I'm seeing a big company hiring for Unreal Engine 5, it's almost like, okay, they're not hiring for the creativity.
yeah,
They're hiring for a seat they can fill that knows how to operate this software for them. It's not like, "Hey, we need someone that loves tech and wants to be able to create a world in their vision." There's none of that with these games that are being
yeah.
pumped out.
And I understand like how are you supposed to get experience working on an in-house engine if you don't ever get hired to work in-house, right? But part of the issue with that is like then you should be looking for computer science people anyway, who it doesn't matter what engine they're coding in, they will be able to adapt to it. The
Exactly.
problem is that video game development has become so nerfed that like everyone is just using these pre-built engines, and myself included. Like
Yeah.
but I've never claimed to be a computer
Right.
science whiz.
Right.
Um, and so when it comes to things like Unreal and Unity, I love that they have democratized access to game development for people, but I don't think that AAA games should be leaning on that.
Exactly. If these companies already have the budgets they do, it should be they're creating their own engine. Now, Ubisoft, I think they use their own engines, which is really cool. What was another one? Doesn't, Capcom also use the MT framework, or is it a newer
Yeah,
one that's their main engine? And I you see a lot of success with Capcom. They're able to come out with quality titles a lot. And I think, yeah, it's really interesting when you see, companies wanting to, it's almost like the corporate video game is gonna use Unreal Engine.
yeah.
And no offense, but The latest Gundam games have been Unreal Engine, so
They're so samey. That's my only complaint with that.
yeah. Real quick,
No, go ahead.
crazy the mind he brought up they need to do a tabletop wargaming for Gundam, and I know, like, we've brought that up before, but I think just like my review for the Gundam VR game that it's like, it's obvious that Gundam VR should be you're in a cockpit, but they didn't do it. I think it's very
Right.
obvious for Gunpla to include something. Maybe it's on a runner and you build it and it creates a QR code shape or something that, so it's unique, but it also allows you to then get data in your I mean, we've got phones and we're building Gunpla. I feel like there's a way to
That was one of the coolest things about, like, the PS Vita was, like, the AR, thing, and that was something that,
Oh, yeah,
shoot,
3DS.
oh, what's his name? Joe Manganiello, he was backing this,
Oh,
big D&D project around AR, like, basically AR software for playing Dungeons& and Dragons, where it was like, you would actually have, like, a 3D model of a dragon on the table that everyone's wearing their
ah,
glasses, and it's like, you're sitting at the table, you're playing a tabletop game, but you've got this immersive world at the table,
yeah,
and
and
I
that's
saw Rogue.
actually
Oh, go ahead.
oh, no, I was gonna say that's actually then what the Gundam VR game does inadvertently. It's not like being in a Gundam, but you can actually pick it up, move it around, shoot, like, and then in
It's
the
like playing with Gunpla.
yeah, yeah, so it's like anyway, what were you gonna say?
Well, I saw Rogue New Type did a reply to Crazy the Mind, and so yes, Mobile Suit Gundam Skirmish is a fan made tabletop war game. There's actually tons of them that you can get away with
Yeah,
doing, but yeah, I think there does
like
need to be an official Bandai
yeah,
one.
it's like Bandai just needs to do that, and then I was thinking in my mind, like, well, I guess even with, like, Warhammer, if people are just th really, the thing could be whatever, right? Like, if you're playing Warhammer with someone, and I guess you can't afford a certain thing, you could probably draw on a piece of paper and say, "Hey, guys, can I use this?"
I
Does
mean,
that work?
yes, they're pretty persnickety at like
Right. I'm
the
sure at the end of the day, but it's what I'm trying to get at, I guess there's not some sort of like, I remember when, Nintendo had to put a thing under the amiibos so the NFC wouldn't be scanned. So there
right.
wouldn't be that concept to worry about. It would just be like a rule book that you've kind of pretty much already made
Yeah,
that
pretty
they could
much.
just use. Bandai should just be like, "Hey, Steven."
Yeah, just take this. No, it's there's so many options for them to really make like a tabletop game, and I think that there was a Kickstarter actually it was originally called Gunpla Top, and they were like, oh, we'll sort out the licensing with Bandai later, and then they had to rename it Mecha Top because they did not get the licensing from Bandai,
Wow. Yeah.
and I think it's been like 2 years and that game has not come out. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a game I got on Kickstarter has never come out, and the guy made an update like a few months ago, and I kickstarted this in, like, 2014. He just said a few months ago, "Sorry, guys, working on my other game." It's like, "Okay." God.
Take the money and run.
Yeah.
Um, so I missed this chat earlier, but yes, Ultronus did answer my question. Watapon was the name of that crappy Yu-Gi-Oh card that
Oh,
that nobody wanted. But he, in fact, got the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, which was a pretty cool Blue Eyes
that's
variant. But yeah, actually, I missed this question, which was great from Macrosser. Am I the only one that thought that the Gundam beta should have been only available at cons and shows and the production be pre-order?
I mean,
It's a
that's
good
a
question.
I think that's a good I
It's a
think
very
there needs to be some way to encourage fans to get it and discourage bots.
right, but they would have to do it better than they did with the Gundam-based mobile tour, in which,
Yeah, that's true.
like, on the
Everything was sold out.
day that the most
Yeah.
people were gonna be there, they were already sold out of everything that was, that was worth picking up. I mean, the only thing I got was, like I said, I got the mobile Haro of just the RX-78, and then I got, like, the Gunpla Builders parts, just like the Zaku machine gun, Gatling gun, which, uh, but yeah, I mean, but the thing is if you're gonna have an event that runs Friday through Sunday, you know that Saturday is gonna be your biggest event day, and yet you blow through all of your inventory on Friday. And so that's the same thing where it's like if they had made this Gundam card game beta like a con exclusive or something like that, can you imagine if it's like Anime NYC or New York Comic Con, they would have blown through it Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday, the highest populous day, people would have been waiting in lines for 3 hours to try and get one and not be able to. So it's like, you're kinda damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, that kinda makes me think I think my idea is the best idea. No, but it's the if you P Bandai for at least a year and you've ordered over 100 worth of stuff, then it's available to you. And then once that dries up, then everyone else. Because yeah, I'm just thinking even the PlayStation Portal, Sony did it where it was through PSN, but then when the 30th anniversary came out, they didn't do that because I think they
Interesting.
because I also think the 30th anniversary was a way to make up for Concord, and
Yeah.
to make the money. And I think they were playing that game to make it seem like it's hard to get or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and the idea of, like, artificial scarcity around a digital product like that is kind of, laughable anyway, right? Like, the idea that you even have digital collector's editions of video games is kind of silly when it's like again, it goes back to the whole thing we were just saying where it's like, do you remember the Halo 3 launch? Like,
Oh,
getting a freaking Spartan helmet, even though it
yeah.
didn't fit. It
Dude,
it was just a statue of the helmet, but it was
I know,
life
I was
size.
so disappointed when I heard that, and then people joked about the cat helmet, and I was like, "Eh." But I will always remember waiting in line for Halo 2 specifically,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I miss the midnight launches where you would wait, and that was I mean, it makes more sense now, yeah, I wait for, like, 5 PM Central, it'll drop on Steam, and you could preload it, but waiting in line, meeting people, I remember I met an air marshal, and he was explaining to me, like, everything he does, and it was, like, the most badass, thing, where he's you know what an air marshal is, right? Where they're kinda, like,
Yeah.
undercover on a plane,
Sky
but they're
Cops.
yeah, and I was like, "Man," he was telling me all about it. I was like, "Man, this is cool." And then, yeah, sometimes you'd meet people that way, uh, and yeah, and then getting the collector's items because I can think back to all the especially the Castlevania games, always got the collector's edition because of the rare items that it would have.
Exactly. You want the item.
Yeah, and so
The trinket.
So
Yeah.
limited run games though, it's interesting how it's like third parties are then licensing with these big companies. You like, okay, let us then do all that. Isn't that interesting? Where it's not like in house anymore. It's
Yeah, that's kind of like what we were talking about with just the development, right? It's like at the end of the day, they just wanna outsource all of it. It's like, well, we
yeah.
outsource the physical production to limited run games. Let's go ahead and outsource the engine development to Unreal or Unity, and, I don't know, let's outsource the marketing to, some consulting agency. Let's outsource
Oh yeah.
like, basically, they don't want anybody working in-house, and then they're surprised when their passion project has 0 passion in it. It's like, because you sold the soul of the product.
That's funny because for the Gundam, VR game,
Mhm.
a third-party company reached out to me to do marketing. They weren't with
Oh,
well, they
wow.
were with Bandai, but it's almost like, "Hey, we can give you, a copy of the game," and I was dumb enough to say I already have one, and so and then but they're gonna, like, send me posters to give away, so but it's interesting how that wasn't Bandai. That
Right.
was they outsourced the marketing to someone else. It's yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other collectibles that I won't be getting, I do
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
share with you guys this, because I wanna hear your thoughts on this too, Adam, because, we talk a lot about, Gunpla, obviously, but you're more into the robot spirits. This is one
Yeah.
of the metal build, from Tamashii Nations, the Zeta Gundam that is dropping next year. 44,000 yen, which I think is something like 360 or $390 US, which is just absolutely silly.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, so I have the the one before one of the recent ones, like, they did the camphor before that, the high new, which I have,
mhm,
and that was I wanna say it released at 350, but then it was, like, 300 for a while, and then I grabbed it. So that actually made me feel better about this because I missed the pre-order on this, unless
right.
it is okay, so it is gone. but then Amazon had the high new. So I'm hoping Amazon's gonna have this, and then it would be discounted. So
Yeah,
it's just
which is surprising because typically, Amazon prices are higher to, like,
I I
account for
think
the Amazon fees and things.
well, I've also noticed lately robot spirits are cheaper on there too. I think for some reason, somehow it's either probably Bandai decided to do some direct distribution, I guess, with Amazon to be like, because like I got that the GM, which one was it that the Cold Districts type? It was like $50, which that's a good price for robot spirits.
It is, yeah.
But this, because I have the Verka metal
Yep.
robot spirits, um,
God, look
the
at the size of
robot
that beam saber.
spirits, yeah. I mean, I would get this because it's a little bigger than a robot spirits. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, they're a
look,
little bigger. This one obviously fully transforms, I believe, if I saw the images correctly. Now these are all just the CG images, which it's kind of cool, honestly, to me that like because all of this stuff is done in 3D modeling
all
software and
right,
CAD software that they can do these types of preview images before the launch of the actual product. Um,
but it looks so good.
Oh, yeah. Now, I will say it does seem to have more of those Verka, proportions that I'm not a
Right.
huge fan of, and maybe this is just cope coming from me. Like,
Yeah.
somebody get me my copium tank because, like I said, this is definitely a, product I'm probably gonna be missing out on, but, you know, as far as, like, Zeta Gundam collectibles
Mm.
go, it's probably not high in my, priorities list. I kind of already have my holy grail on that one, which is the perfect grade Zeta,
Oh,
which, to me, that thing has the perfect proportions too, so
really? So I might need to try to get one of those. Because the only other one that I thought was amazing and enthusiast who posts over on my the Gundam Explained Discord, he has one that is, I think it was him. It's a third party Zeta.
Oh,
That's a
really?
1/100 scale kind of a metal build, and
That's cool.
and it's fatter, right? It has that more Okinawa style scaling to it and or proportions. And it's like but
I definitely need to clip this whole, conversation and post it on Instagram of just you saying it's fatter and me being like,
yeah, we're just talking about robots.
Um, no, that's honestly, some of the third-party Zetas look fantastic. I saw, the Debon version of the, Master Grade 2.0, which, like, I have the Master Grade 2.0. Great as far as
Yeah.
1/100 scale Zetas go, pretty sweet looking. But yeah, the Debon version actually has more, panel lines. It actually looks like what you would have expected a Verka to look like
Oh,
before the
wow.
Verka actually came out, and it turned out to be the least Verka of any of the Verka master grades. Um, if you guys understand the joke, obviously, Katoki is a big fan of the panel lines, and so it's like,
Right.
"Oh, the Verka is just the same thing, but with lots of lines on it." The Verka and you can attest to this, the Verka, master grade Zeta, pretty smooth as far
Yeah.
as,
Yeah, although it's like I haven't put decals on it or anything. I don't know if I'm going to, but I usually like to.
Yeah, I think I'll have to decal up both my Verka and the 2.0 at some point. And you know what? Maybe like I don't know when I'm gonna to do it, but I think it would be cool to do like a 12-hour stream and see if I can do the perfect grade in one sitting. I
Yeah,
don't think I can because I've never been able to finish a kit in one sitting, but
same here. I
but
it's
if you guys
sometimes
challenge me to do it, then I'll have to do it. So
or it'd be like at least go through this many runners because that's what I did with the perfect grade RX-78 too. I was like,
it's a good
"Okay,
way of doing it.
let me at least do these 2 runners today, or right now, and then I'll stop and move on." Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or, like, get the inner frame done, and
Yeah, at least that, which okay, so I guess is the perfect grade Zeta similar to where it has an inner frame?
yep, it's got the inner frame, with it, and And honestly, like I said, the proportions are great. It's got, like, nice thick legs, probably because I think they designed it so that it could stand up, which is kind of the issue with, like, the Zeta in general, is that with the big backpack, it's, like, it's kind of back heavy.
Wow. That
Um,
looks great. I'm looking up pictures right now. It's actually, I mean, relative to spending money on things, not that expensive. I'm seeing it for 200.
yeah. Yeah, I think,
Um,
when I actually ended up did when I ended up pulling the
oh,
trigger on it, I got it for, like, 180 because I was kind of like
oh,
babysitting it on, eBay for a while.
oh, okay.
Let me
Good
see
idea.
uh, if I can pull it up just to show off to you guys. Oh, here we go. We've got my Amazon account. Hopefully, there's none of my account information that you guys can steal.
Yeah, I have to get your
But
address.
yeah,
I'm just
I
gonna
mean,
send you Gunpla.
yeah, if you're gonna steal my address and send me Gunpla, please do. But yeah, I mean, look at the proportions of this thing. This is like anime accurate to me.
Yeah, the head too.
And it's fully wired with LEDs in the eyes and the beam saber. So
Okay, I
yeah,
think, oh, in the
you
inner
get that
frame
open
part,
hatch version.
you've convinced me. This is what I'll get over the metal build. And dude,
Yeah,
searching for
I mean, if
this,
you're gonna be spending that much,
yeah,
like,
get these before they're hard to come across. It's amazing that there's actually some out there, and there's even,
yeah, boom,
searching for that,
$209
I
on,
come across the
Amazon.
Mark II, perfect grade.
Yeah. Oh, the Mark II perfect grade is fantastic as well.
Oh, man.
Same deal where it's like it's got the same proportions as the high grade. And what is it? 160?
Yeah,
That is
that
entirely reasonable.
that is. Wow.
So yeah, I absolutely recommend a perfect grade over, well, I mean, I guess it depends. Like, if you don't like to build the figure, then obviously, spend your $500 on on a
But
metal
here's the
build.
thing, I think I would always be willing to build if I know I'm getting a better end product, like, in terms of proportion, scale, because technically this is bigger than the metal build.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
so
by a lot.
yeah,
So there you go.
yeah.
Oh, here we go. So first of all, Xeonic Shadow does challenge me to build the perfect grade on stream, so I'll have to do that. Rogue New Type, speaking of pre-orders, says that I should build the Psycho Gundam Mark II on stream when I get it. That is a
Oh,
pre-order I am not going to miss out on, because you
yeah.
guys know how much I love Zeta and Double Zeta, and the Psycho Mark II it looks gorgeous.
So let me
It
know when, if we're not talking at the moment and you're buying it, say, "Adam, it's up," because that is actually one I definitely need.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll have to reach out to our mutual hookups. Like I said,
Oh,
I'm a
yeah,
big,
that's
I
right.
know that we were just showing off Amazon on stream here, but, check out P-Rex Hobby on, prexhobby.com. Again, you can get 5% off if you use, promo code Midnight Hatter or Gundam Explained. So you'd be helping out us, but also, they have the Gundam Mark II, for pre-order right now. I think they still have stock of it, for 109 US. I think
Oh,
it's like 134, 140, Canadian. Sorry, Canadians. Or artrovogundam.com. Again, another small shop, run by Gunpla enthusiasts. I I am I am always, an advocate of shopping with the smaller, outlets. Doesn't matter who. To me, like, as long as you're shopping with, somebody who actually cares about Gunpla and who cares about growing the community, that is more important to me than specifically who. But, yeah, when
sure.
you give money to Amazon, you're basically just kinda like, I don't know, giving it to the devil.
Yeah, I know that's what, but you know what's crazy? I was just searching for the Psycho Gundam Mark II because I guess I didn't realize you can pre-order it right now.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
available for pre-order from some websites.
Yeah, and
So yeah,
it was showing it alongside, I like to collect the Mobile Suit Ensemble,
those are
and
pretty that's a sweet line.
but dude, the Psycho Gundam Mark II of the Mobile Suit Ensemble is more expensive than the model kit. Isn't that insane? How that stuff, like, those things are expensive.
They are.
Um,
But there's a lot of detail that they pack into those things,
yeah,
so,
that's true. There's a lot of detail, yeah.
yeah. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, here we go. On that note, Jam Cal X says, "You might as well be supporting Oz." Exactly, yeah. The
Oh,
Trace faction, thanks you for your service. And then Rogue New Type says, "Is it not available on P Bandai yet?" Not P Bandai, I don't think. The,
yeah, 'cause
Psycho Mark II? Yeah,
yeah,
so
it looks
it's
like
gonna
it's
be available
everywhere
through
'cause
the
I'm
normal
I'm looking right
channels.
now, and I guess I missed it, and it's even places have it 109,
Yeah.
so there's even, like, a little bit of a cut so that's interesting that they made that a full release.
Yeah, and I'm glad they did. I know that there's always the question in people's minds, like, "Oh, are they gonna go full release? Are they gonna do P Bandai?" And I think that with stuff like that, it makes sense to go full release. Like the Psycho Gundam and the Kshatriya were full
Yeah,
releases.
that's true.
I am
And the O.
terrified though that if and when they release a high grade Queen Mansa, that one's gonna be P Bandai because I just don't think that, Double Zeta has the mass appeal that.
Right. But, it's interesting, it makes me think how the, Nightingale high
Yeah,
grade got a release, but then also there was a RE100, right? Of
true,
the
yeah,
which is gigantic. Um,
massive.
yeah, that's crazy.
But hey, regardless, I'm gonna get it
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
But yeah, so that is it for tonight. Just mostly complaining about pre-order stuff and
yeah,
saying, "Hey, Bandai, do better." um,
yeah,
no, honestly, like I said, let's go easy on the multi-billion-dollar corporations because they're doing their best to supply us with these beautiful
right.
Gunpla.
There's more than we need. I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and so, yeah, while all of us are disappointed that we missed out on, a couple of these pre-orders, hey, it's not the end of the world, and actually, it's probably doing me a favor because like you, I know that you're a collector, I'm a collector, and it's like I can't just get one of a thing without
yeah,
going and buying the rest of the things,
right.
so it's actually probably helping me out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But yeah, so that said, speaking of collectibles, if you haven't watched Adam's video from this morning
oh,
comparing the Godzilla action figure to the Gundam action figure, I thought that that was a fun comparison,
I
speaking of collectibles.
yeah, I'm surprised it took him this long to make non-kid, but still affordable, like, this is targets the Marvel Legends people pretty
Yeah,
much because it's that articulation, that scale. And then I got the Mecha Godzilla too, and then they have the
because you have
Godzilla -1 that's coming out this year. So
awesome,
yeah.
which is not a very kid-friendly movie, but, I
Right,
guess
exactly. That's what's so cool about them doing this line.
interesting. Well, hey, like I said, go check that video, guys. Go check
Yeah,
that video out, you guys, if you haven't seen it already. But until then, we will catch you tomorrow for the Gundam Explain live show.
yeah,
And thank you guys so much for tuning in and hearing us commiserate about missing
yeah,
out on things that we want to buy.
yeah, I know.
Cheers,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a good night.